You got questions, I got answers. It is mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. And I've already taken a sneak peek at some of the questions in the mailbag this week. And you guys got a lot of trade ideas. I'm seeing ideas for Deebo Samuel, Sam Hubbard, among others. We will react to your rumors, mailbag questions, your trade ideas, and more coming up in just a moment. Let's start with this from the man himself, who writes in, just venting, all caps. We need to draft positions of need. No big names, no reaching, just intelligent moves with picks that fit our scheme and style. Go Hawks. Yes. First off, the man himself, thanks for that $20 super chat. Secondly, you're not wrong, but here's what I would add to that, the man himself. There are times when there is a player that is too good to pass up on. It may not be the highest position of need, but you say to yourself, I got to have this guy. I can't miss out on this player. And we won't know until the board shakes out of what that exactly looks like. So what I would say is, the man himself, I get where you're coming from, but be open-minded. Let's see how the board shakes out when Seattle picks at 18 and their other draft picks beyond that. Keep an open mind there, the man himself. Seahawks Today is bringing you the best Seahawks coverage you won't find anywhere else. We have our daily news and rumors, live shows twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. We're bringing you breaking news, Q&A mailbags. We get it all covered here on the channel. And anytime that something happens, I don't care if I'm in the studio or if I'm at home at my apartment watching television, if there's some breaking news, we're going to bring you a video as quick as we can here on the channel. If you love the Hawks, this is the channel for you. Subscribe now for free. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Lock us in right here on Seahawks Today. And join the NOTI gang. Those are the people that have their notifications turned on. If you're part of the NOTI gang, spam NOTI gang in the comments section, and we certainly would appreciate it. Pete Legend writes in, could the Seahawks trade with the 49ers for Deebo Samuel? Hashtag Seahawks. Pete Legend, very good question there. So let's kind of set the scene for you on this. So there was a report from Shefty, it was around the trade deadline, talking about how many, many years ago, the Hawks were trying to draft DK and Deebo Samuel to pair together. Obviously, that did not happen. And ever since then, John Schneider has been a big fan of Deebo Samuel. And it's no secret that John Schneider would like to have Deebo Samuel on his team. So that's an interesting point there. Now, Deebo, he's gone downhill a bit. He has not looked like the same player that he once was. He had arguably the worst season of his career this past season, close to 700 yards receiving, about 136 on the ground, and only had 4 total touchdowns. It was a down year for Deebo Samuel. Now, here's what I'll say when it comes to a trade. Is it possible? Certainly possible, especially since you're looking to replace Tyler Lockett potentially. But what I'm looking at, folks, I think the rest of the league is well aware that the Niners are going to be moving on from Deebo Samuel one way or the other. All right? We all know that's going to happen. And so with the money that he's being paid, I don't think teams like Seattle and others are looking to bail the 49ers out. And in Seattle's case, trying to give them capital to bring in Deebo Samuel. I think he's going to be released. And so if he is released, then that makes life a lot easier. You go sign him for a cheaper contract, and you don't have to give up assets. So I don't think that they will trade for him, but I would say it's certainly very possible if he is released and becomes available in free agency that they could sign him on that front. Our pinned comment today, should the Seahawks trade for Deebo Samuel? Type T for trade, B for pass. Weigh in on our pinned comment today and let us know. Today's show is sponsored by Z-Biotics. Ever skipped a workout because of the nights of drinking before? Me too. If you're committed to your healthy routine this year, you need Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. I just tried pre-alcohol for the first time last weekend when I was in New Orleans for the big game, and I loved it. I was able to get up the next morning and get to work, no problems, largely in part due to Z-Biotics, my friends. And I can honestly say there's no better way to feel my best the morning after drinking than Z-Biotics. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code chatsports at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code chatsports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. Z-Biotics, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks today. Next up, the 12's Our Best writes in, can you see the Seahawks making a trade for Sam Hubbard? Sam Hubbard's had a pretty decent career with the Cincinnati Bengals, but this year was the worst year he's had in a minute. Played in 14 games, only had 2 sacks, 41 tackles, 3 TFLs, 1 forced fumble. The Bengals, their defense was absolutely atrocious. They're in salary cap hell. They're looking to rebuild that entire thing there in Cincinnati. I could see potentially him getting dealt for a very low cost. Kind of like what we talked about with Deebo. I could see him just straight up getting released. And you look at Mike Mack's track record. He's done very well with these veteran pass rushers that people give up on. From Justin Houston to Jadeveon Clowney to Kyle Van Noy, among others. Sam Hubbard could be the guy potentially that Mike McDonald thinks that he can fix for a relatively cheap price. So, yeah, I think it's certainly possible. I think he'd be a nice fit for the right price in that circumstance for Seattle. Should the Seahawks trade for Sam Hubbard? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, in for no. Get your comments and let us know if you think Seattle should trade for him or not. Maj writes in, any chance we get Dillon Gabriel in the later rounds? I think it's certainly possible. I like Dillon Gabriel a lot. I've probably seen more Dillon Gabriel football than anybody watching this program. I saw every game he played at the University of Oklahoma. Saw almost every game he played with the Oregon Ducks. And the thing I like about Dillon Gabriel, he's got a tremendous heart. He's got his head on straight. He comes from a very good family. He was raised very well. You're not going to have any character concerns with Dillon Gabriel. He is a terrific leader of men. I think about my favorite moment of Dillon Gabriel's career. He's played in the University of Texas in the Red River Shootout. And nobody gave this Oklahoma team a chance. Nobody thought that they had a chance to hang with Texas that day. And they were not the more talented team. They were not even the better coach team. I'd take Sark every day over Brent Venables. But Dillon Gabriel put that team on his back and led a game-winning drive and threw a game-winning touchdown to Nick Anderson in the corner of the end zone to upset the Texas Longhorns. And that was just the heart and the will that Dillon Gabriel showed that day. He had more heart than anyone on that football field. He sure had a whole lot more heart than Quinn Ewers did, I can tell you that much. And although Dillon's not the biggest guy, he makes up for it for what he brings with his character and what he brings to the table there. And I do have some concerns about his injury history. He did get banged up quite a bit in college. I don't know how well he can stack up at the next level. But at the worst-case scenario, if you get Dillon Gabriel in the later rounds, I think he can be a fantastic backup, at the very least, a 10-plus year career as a backup in this league. Whether he can eventually be your full-time starter, I don't know. But that might be a gamble we're taking if you're Seattle, if Dillon Gabriel's still around in the later rounds to give him a chance. Ian writes in, will we see a step up in snaps production for Christian Hinds in his second season? I hope so, but let's see what Seattle does when it comes to drafting the guard position. they might find somebody they like more than Christian Hinds. If not, then Christian Hinds definitely should see an increase. And there should be a lot for him to prove after a disappointing rookie season where he had plenty of opportunities with how bad that offensive line was, and he didn't capitalize on that. So, yeah, I think that we should, depending on who they bring in, whether it's in the draft or free agency, that'll certainly be something to monitor there. Raw Hector writes in, if Tyler Warren is available, should we draft him or stick to drafting offensive linemen? Must I remind you once again, the tight end position is on the offensive line. All right? And Clint Kubiak said this week that they are looking for tight ends that are pass catchers and blockers. All right? Tyler Warren's available. Who's one of the best tight end prospects I've ever seen. And reminds me a lot of Brock Bowers, who broke every rookie tight end receiving record this past year. If somehow he's still available at 18. I don't think he will be, but if he is, yes, I would take Tyler Warren. You kill two birds with one stone. You get a pass-catching receiving threat, you help out the passing game, and you get an additional blocker as well. I don't think he'll be there, but if he is, it's a no-brainer. Maj writes in with the last question. With Clint, can we have a top 5 offense? Remains to be seen what's going to happen with the offensive line. I don't have doubts about Clint as a play caller. I think the offensive scheme should improve. All of that should be a positive. But what are they going to do to fix this offensive line? That will be the test, and that's kind of out of Clint's control. It comes down to what John is going to do with the personnel that is there. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free for the latest happenings in your favorite team all off-season. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.